This is lesson 30, and we're going to be working today on continuing to work on solving equations, writing equations, but we're going to add in a review of some angle types. So on your classwork page, you should have this page right here where you have acute, obtuse, right, straight, and reflex. The first thing I want you to do is draw an example of each of these, and then write a brief description about what you know about them. So after you have that done, or push pause to do that work, and then check back in to see if you are correct. If you are back with me, it means you have solved these on your own, or you have put your answer down of what you think. An acute angle is just like it sounds. It's a little angle. An acute angle is anything less than 90 degrees. An obtuse angle is anything bigger than 90 degrees. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees. A straight angle, a straight angle is, again, no accidents math, exactly what it sounds like. It's when the angle is straight, and it is exactly 180 degrees. And a reflex angle is one that's going this way if we're measuring from here all the way around to here, and that's anything greater than 180 degrees. So now, just as a review again, I want you to go back to each of these, and I want you to write an inequality or an equation that describes the degrees that would cover it, and I want you to graph them on the number line. So let me show you what I mean for acute. For acute, the angles that could be considered acute are anything less than, so these angles have to be less than 90 degrees. They cannot be equal to 90 degrees because that would be a right angle. So therefore, it's anything that is less than 90 degrees. So A, the angle, has to be less than 90 degrees. So then when I draw that on just a quick number line, I could do something like this. Here's 80, 90, 100, 110. 90, I'm going to put the open dot because it does not get counted. And then I am going to highlight anything to the left of 90 or less than 90 because these are all the possible answers for acute angles. So I want you to go ahead and do that for obtuse, right, straight, and reflex. You only need to draw a number line if it is an inequality. If it's an equation, then you do not need to draw the number line. If you're back with me, it means you're ready to check your inequalities, equations, and graphs. So for obtuse, A should be anything greater than 90. So it should be an open dot, and then you're highlighting the answers to all obtuse angles, which would be anything greater than 90. A right would be an equation because it's exactly 90. There's only one answer for it. A has to equal 90 degrees. For straight, again, it would be an equation because A has to equal exactly 180 degrees. And for the reflex, it would be an inequality. A, the angle needs to be greater than 180, so we have an open dot, and then we're going this way. These are all the angle types that could be considered reflex. So now you'll want to remember those things to fix some of these, and I will give you a sheet. Actually, let's do a sheet to glue into your math notebooks now that go over these angles. Now go get this sheet from your teacher and go ahead and glue that in your next available page in your math notebooks. And then you'll have it as a reference as you're doing the problems today and tonight. All right, after you have that glued in, push pause until you do, come back and join me and we will work through these examples. So here's example 1. This means angle ABC. When you read an angle, you start here, A, B is the vertex or the corner, and then it goes out C. So they're talking about this angle right here. Measures 90 degrees. The angle has been separated into two angles. If one angle measures 57 degrees, what is the measure of the other angles? How are these two angles related? So what is their relationship? Well, they're together, they equal 90 degrees. So what equation could we use to solve for x? So this is where we're going to be practicing writing equations, and it'll be tempting to put x equals, and they don't really want that. They want you to have to solve for x, so they want x to be part of the operation. So in this case, what we know is this one plus this one equals 90. So we would do 57 plus 90, 57 plus x equals 90 degrees. So these two angles together is the same as 90 degrees. And now they want you to solve. So at this point in algebra, you could be choosing if you want to solve it using a tape diagram or algebraic method, or if you want to do both to make sure they match up, but you definitely need to be doing the check every single time. So you could choose one or both of these and then do the check. So just for the example, I'll do both so that you have that example. I want you to write both down as well, but when it comes to the exercises, you can choose what to do. So this tells me 57 plus x is the same as 90. Whoops, don't want to put that in the middle. We want that down here. So, in order to find what x equals, if I know that this part of the tape diagram is 57, I could get rid of that to see what's left over to be just x. So now I'm thinking, what's the number bond that goes with 90 and 57? So 57 plus what would get me to 90? I know I need a 3 here to get 7 to 0. So that takes me up to 6 tens. I need 3 more of those, so I'm going to go with 33. So x is the same as 33. So now let's try that algebraically. 57 plus x equals 90. So what did I do over here? I took 57 off of both sides. So I'm going to minus 57 here. This time I'm going to do it standard. 10 minus 7 is 3. 8 minus 5 is 3. 57 minus 57 is 0. Since I did the same thing on both sides, it kept it balanced. So those are now the same as each other. If I'm adding nothing to x, that means I really have just x, which is the same as 33. Notice that when I'm adding to my variable, I have to do the inverse subtraction over here. So now, super important to do that check. X is the same as 33. We do not like having letters in our math. I think you guys would agree with me. So as soon as we have numbers instead of letters, we want to go ahead and try that in the problem. Remember to check. You go back to the original problem and plug it in. So this would be 57 plus 33. 7 plus 3 is 10. 5 plus 3 is 8. Plus 1 more is 90. That's what I should have got. So check. That is correct. So now let's try example 2. Michelle is designing a parking lot. She has determined that one of the angles should be 115 degrees. What is the measure of angle X and Y? So how is angle X related to the 115 angle? Well, right here, X and 115 together need to be 180. So X and 115 together equal 180. So what equation would we use to show this? We would do x plus 115 equals 180. I know some of you might be tempted, well, we know we have to do 180 minus 115 to see what's left over, so why don't we do 180 minus 115 equals x? Again, that's good when we're doing just normal math in the real world. They're trying to get us to practice writing equations using a different format, so we're just going to make sure that our variable is always doing something with the operation. So how would you solve this equation? We would do, again, you can do either the tape diagram, algebraic method, or but you also have to do the check. So on this one, we're just going to do the algebraic method here. So since x is being added to 115, to get x by itself, we need to subtract 115. We have to do the inverse. So now x plus 0. But we just made this side lighter, and we have to make this side lighter. So we have 115 over here. So this becomes 7, 5, 6. So x is the same as 65. I want to make sure that I do my check, so I plug it back into the original problem. 65 plus 115. 5 plus 5 is 0. 6, 7, 8, and then 1. I get 180, so check. Sorry, I did that correct. So this angle is going to be 65. Make sure you plug in x for there. So that's 65. And then this one, how is angle y related to the angle that measures 115? Again, even though it's sideways, if we change the perspective, that's a straight angle right there. So that would be 180 as well. So that would be the same process as we did for x. So then let's check example 3. Here we have a beam of light is reflected off a mirror. Below is a diagram of the reflected beam. Determine the missing angle measures. So we have this 55, this is missing, and then we have 55, and it creates this angle here, all three of them together, which you should recognize as a straight angle. So how are the angles in this question related? They equal 180 together. So as soon as you see they equal together, that's going to be your equation, because that's going to be on one side, and then together is going to be the other part. So what equation could we write to represent this situation? This one would be 55 plus 55 plus x equals 180. And then how would you solve an equation like this? Well, in order to do that, we would simplify it. So since I have two numbers here, I would go ahead and add those together to figure out what that angle was. So 55 plus 55 is 10. So 110. It's because I'm thinking the 5 and the 5 make 10, and these 5 make 10. So that's 100, 100, and then 110. Plus x equals 180, and then we would solve the rest of it. So when you have, these are called like terms. Remember, this is a term, this is a term, and this is a term. We can combine these two together because they're both numbers, which are things that are alike. This is a different or an unlike term because it's x and it's unknown. We can't combine that yet. So then you would just solve that normally. So example 4 here. Angle ABC measures 90 degrees. It has been split into two angles, ABD and DBC. So when they don't give you a picture, I would just go ahead and draw my own. So here's angle ABC, ABC. It's 90 degrees. It's been split into two angles, ABD and DBC. The measure of the two angles is in a ratio of 4 to 1. So I love this because this is a review of our very first unit. So then, what are the measures of each angle? Use a tape diagram to represent the ratio 4 to 1. So again, making the connection to last night's homework, this means that it gets 4 parts and this only gets 1 part. So when I draw that tape diagram, here's 4 for one of the angles, here's 1 for the other angle. So here's like angle 1 and angle 2. So then, what is the measure of each angle? Well, what this tells me is these 5 parts together equal 90 degrees. So the equation that would represent that to me would be 5, and we could just call these m. 5 m's is the same as 90. And then Sorry, I was running out of time. So 5m divided by, or 90 divided by 5, that would be 18. So 1m would equal 18. So your job now is to do these exercises. You can do them algebraically with tape diagrams. Just make sure you check all of your answers, and you can check your answers on the keys around the room. Your homework tonight is problem set 30.